Alright guys, so remember PHP is a server-side scripting language. Now if you don't have an overview of PHP, I recommend that you go back to my video, the last video I made on PHP. You get to have an overview of PHP. As a server-side scripting language, we need to have a local server installed on our system, which I recommended XAMPP server. Before we get started, we need to activate, because what we need is the Apache and MySQL to get started. Okay, so we start the both of them. Okay, here we go. So we are good to go right now. The next thing you do is to create your file inside XAMPP directory. There is htdoc inside XAMPP. Okay, so that's where we're going to put our file. So let's go create that right now. Now I'm using Visual Studio Code. We create, if you already have a folder in htdoc, you just open it up. Now let me show you what we do. When you open, you go to your local disk or C drive, you go to your XAMPP folder. Okay, once you open your XAMPP folder, you will see htdocs. Open. We tapped on open folder. Okay, so even if you don't have the folder created yet, just tap on open folder. Then what you just do is you right click, you see new, then on new you see folder. That's how you create a new folder. Okay, so when you click on it, you see this. Okay, so I can name the, let me just give it test. So right here we've created a folder. Then we can now, you can see it's selected already, so we can now select open, and here we go. You see we opened a folder. Now the topic we are handling today is commenting and variables in PHP. Let's create a file. You can see these icons here. See, this is a file. If you want to create a file, if you want to create another folder inside this place, inside this test folder that I already have, because you can have nested folder, you can have many folders as much as you want inside other folders. Okay, so look at this, you see new folder. So what we want is a file. Okay, and then if you are creating a file that you want as your home page or default home page, you name it index. Okay, take note, and remember, if you are creating a PHP file, let it end with the extension .php. Okay, so we've created this. Now you can see we have our PHP file created already. Okay, now with this index, when we want to open our job in our browser, remember our XAMPP is on, so what you just do is you type localhost / the name of the file you created, folder you created. Okay, now just writing this will open this file because it's index.php. If we used any other name aside index, then we will need to also add it here in the address bar, and we need to add the name of the file we created. Okay, and with the extension. Okay, now this will also open this file. Take note, this will also open this file, but because it's index, so it's seen, it's regarded by the machine as the default page, so you don't need to enter it to open. Now let's just take a look at what I'm saying. So when you run, you see that it is opened. Okay, we're not seeing anything right on the screen because this place is empty. Okay, so let's add a little code here. Remember our opening tag for PHP. Okay, this, then PHP. This is how you open your PHP. Okay, then your closing tag. This is how you close. This is your PHP. Okay, this is how you open it here and you close it. So your code, any code you want to write for PHP, will be right in here. So let's just echo is a word is a keyword to print or to display on the screen. Okay, so let's just echo a string. Let's just echo hello world. Okay, then PHP always terminates. Okay, and then you save. I already have auto save. Okay, I have my auto save on, so I don't need to tap save before it runs. Okay, but I just want to let you know that I'm actually using auto save, so make sure you always save your work. If you're using Visual Studio Code, it's okay, you should put your auto save If you don't want to use your autosave, remember to always save, or click Ctrl S to save always when you make a change. Okay, so we refresh. You see we have hello world. Now here, what I was saying about keywords, about now when we remove this, our code is still running. Can you see? Because index is regarded as homepage. So in your web development, ensure that you use index for your homepage. Any page you want to be seen first when your site domain name or when your site URL is entered, use index for it. Okay. Now comments, as the word implies, they are a part of a component of your code that does not show or that is not executed. Okay, and we have two types of commenting, which is the single line and the multi-line. Okay, so this is single line, where you just enter this is a single line. Why this is for multiple lines? So this is a multi. So this is a single line. Now, if I should come down here to write anything, it's no longer a comment. Okay. Now a comment is ignored by the compiler or the executor, whatever, in any programming language, just for documentation sake. Okay, so that when you get back to your code, you'll be able to remember, okay, this is what I did here, this is what I did here. So commenting is very, very professional to use in your codes. Okay, but they are not executed. So let's run this. So you see nothing is showing here. Okay, nothing is coming up here. So this is how you do if you have a long comment. Now let's go to the next part of this video, which is the variables. Okay, now you see we have this hello world right here. They are strings just pasted like that. Okay, now variables are like containers. Okay, they're like containers that can contain a value, containers that can take in a value. Okay, so you store a particular value. Can be, now in PHP we have just one way of declaring a variable, no matter the variable type, unlike some other programming languages. Okay, so what we do here is we use the ampersand, which is $, then the name of the variable you want to use. You declare a variable and you assign the value to it immediately. So name, so we can put this string. Okay, we can assign it into this name. All right, then we can now echo the name. Now this name we can echo it. Okay, now you see that our code will still run. I think that now if we start to comment this out, now you see where comment comes in. If any part of the code you don't want to be visible, instead of you deleting it, you can just comment it out. Now this is a single line, so I just use single line. You can see that it's commented out. Now if I run my code, nothing will be seen on the screen. Why? This line of code does not print. There is no print command here. We only declared a variable. Okay, and then we assigned a value to it. So the value you assign to a variable determines the variable type here. Okay, that happens by default. Now you can, if you take a look, you see that we have string here. Okay, so it's showing that this variable has string inside of it. Why is this so? Because we assigned. So let's create another variable. Let's say this is a name, so let's say number. Okay, and then we add 5. Okay, so let's see when we hover on it. Can you see int? So it's showing us int now. So it means that this variable number is an integer variable. Why? Because of the content in it. Now you see this is regarded as string, but if we also change the value, if we change the value to a number, automatically it also changes. Can you see? It becomes an integer. So the value you have in a variable determines the type of that variable in PHP. So if you still put decimal, let's see what we have here. You see, it becomes a float variable. Okay, so in PHP, when you have variables like this, you should take note that you cannot use mathematical expressions for string values. Okay, like for instance, if I want to declare another variable, call it num1, and I say num1 is 3. Now you can actually add floating value with an integer value. It's possible, but you cannot add string to an integer or a floating value. Now let's see what happens when we do that. Let's say result first. So we first of all take our number, okay, plus num1. Then we remember you terminate your quotes. Now let's see what happens on the screen. Now you have 5.00 and you have 3 here, so we're adding them up. So let's see what's going to happen. Let's see what the final result will be. We're going to print this result here. So we print our result. Okay, now you see we have 8 right here. We have 8 right here, so it actually added them up. Okay, it added. Now let's see, you know, this is a float variable, that is an integer variable. So let's see what this result gives us. Now the result gives us a float variable, but then when we executed, 8 is printed as an integer. Okay, well that's because we just have 00 here. Let's say we have actually a value here. Let's say we have something like this and we run. You can see the addition. This is the result here, right here. Okay, let's now add a float value to a string. Let's see what the result will be. If you will have error here, so you cannot, let's just read the error. So unsupported operand types, float plus string, line 14. This where, so you cannot add a string value to a floating value or to an integer value. But let's put num3 and confirm. Okay, we have num1 here. Let's see if it's gonna work. Same way, integer plus string, you cannot, it's not supported. Okay, so just take note of that. So regarding the comment, now this is where you can use comments. You can actually use it anywhere you like, but for instance here we can now say, okay, this is a string value. Okay, I now say this is a string value. Okay, I can say this is float value, and as well I can come here and say this is what int value. So that you can see what we have here. See how this will not be printed. Okay, so you see what we have. We see what we have: string value, float value, int value. So these are some of the ways you can use your comments. Okay, now we're using comment now to, okay, take note, this is a string value. Okay, this is a float value, this is an integer value. So you use commenting to document your codes. Okay, because sometimes if you write code and leave it for a long time, when you come back you might not be able to figure out what you did. So that's why we use comments. You'll be writing code for someone else, so it makes it a lot easier for the person to understand what you're writing when you use your comments. Okay, so remember, you can use your multiple line, you can also use single line. Okay, now also we can put multiple line commenting. We can use it in between an expression. For instance, we have this. Okay, so of course we cannot use this. We can't use. Okay, so we can actually use, but this time around what we use is the multiple line commenting plus 10. You see this? Now when we run our code, nothing is going to happen. But if we remove this comment, if we remove this comment right here, then that value will be added to what we have here. Okay, you can see So when you in your expressions, it's not only variables that you can also put constant values. You can put constants, you can put any number directly, okay, but it should be for constant. Like when we're talking about figures that will not change, that will remain the same, so you can use them directly. But if they can change at any point in time, then use variables so that you can easily change the value in it. Okay, so you see, you can use commenting in between a code, in between a single line of code. You can also put your comment right there. Remember, codes you don't want to be executed, codes that you want to be ignored in your program, you use your commenting. Okay, so this will be the end of this video. So feel free to practice, use as many variable names, carry out mathematical operations, and try to print your results. Okay, with this video, I believe you now understand how to use your comments, where to use your comment, and why you should use comments, and also your variables. You get to know how to determine the type of a variable in PHP. Okay, so if you enjoyed this video, or if this video add value to you, please kindly like, share, and subscribe so you get more of our videos when we drop it. Okay.